Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Diamond Heist. Now, we're back to the usual program here. I hope you actually sort of enjoyed yesterday afternoon Civilization 7 kind of debut, start. Do let me know. I mean, I am committed to finishing that game, so you will see 2 more videos, but obviously your feedback would immensely help to figure out what do I do with that. Yeah, let's not think about Civilization. Let's talk about instead what we have in store for today. And we have something that looks like a ton of fun, if I'm honest. It's a variant twist. It's kind of like a brand new rule from Marty Sears. It's all about stealing diamonds. Now, obviously on this channel, we're not criminals. We're not stealing diamonds. We've been hired, of course, by the museum that's showcasing these diamonds to test their security feature. And we can see there Sleuth is taking a crack at it and trying to steal diamonds there. I mean, if there's a diamond of that size, it'll be very tempting. Anyway, let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule set with Diamond Heist by Marty Sears. Let me just double check it's all recording correctly. No, it isn't. So bear with me. It's a good thing that I'm recently checking. I don't know why it's been so broken. I think it's the fact that I'm flipping back and forth from recording Civilization and Sudoku. So it seems to basically sort of trigger it. So that too is there. And if I delete it, hopefully it, or draw a circle on it, hopefully it's fine as well. That looks all good to me. Right. So let's talk about the rules with Diamond Heist by Marty Sears. And you can see we've got a full room here representing what looks like a door there, a vent here. I did read the rule sets in advance to kind of get a bit of a clue around what's going on today. So first one is normal Sudoku rules apply. So place the digits 1 to 9, once each in every row, every column, if I can select one, and then of course every 3 by 3 box. So nothing unusual about that. The next part is all about the diamond heist itself. So we need to escape from the diamond vault by finding a path from the ventilation shaft, which is in row 9, column 9, so that's the ventilation shaft right here, to the door in row 2, column 1, which is just there. Your path may only move diagonally and may not visit any cell more than once. You may not pass through any colored display plinths, and also stepping on any floor tiles with an even digit will trigger the alarms, so don't do that. So essentially, we have to find some kind of escape route that doesn't go through any of the plinths, I guess kind of these kind of showcase diamonds. And we essentially, it needs to be orthogonally connected. So I can't do like diagonal, that doesn't count. It has to be orthogonally connected. Can't loop over itself. So I couldn't have done something that looks like that, for example. That doesn't work. And it will take me from row 9, column 9 to row 2, column 1. Now, actually, that doesn't work either. That can't work. Last thing that is also explicitly mentioned is that this escape path of ours can't step on any even digits. If I step on any even tiles, I will trigger the alarm. And obviously fail in my task given by the museum to actually determine if this is secure or not. Right, what else do we know about this diamond setup? The digits on a diamond equals the sum of the digits on all the keys that match its plinth color and letter. So, for example, this cell here with this diamond, D, in red, it will be, the digit on a diamond equals the sum. So this cell here will be all of the digits that are D. So it'll be red and the letter, and these 3 cells will add up to a value that I'm going to have to place inside this diamond. Now, we have to discover these diamond digits to be able to steal them, I guess collect the keys and kind of find out the secret code to be able to unlock this case and pick up the diamond. And we only have 45 minutes to do this. So, very interesting game ahead of us today. I'm really excited to be playing this. 2-star difficulty rated, perfect for a weekend. And as always, to play along, link in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. 45 minutes. So let's start with the obvious. I am actually going to use orange and blue for odd and even. I know that this cell has to be orange because I'm stepping on it. I know this cell has to be orange because I'm also stepping on it. Now, what we should be able to do is take a look. I mean, for example, Fs. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells that are adding up to a single digit value. None of these are a double digit. So given 1 and 2 is here as the minimum, 1 and 2 in here is the minimum, that's already 6. That's 7, that's 8. This is 8 or 9. And I only have 1 degree of freedom in all of these cells. In fact, and one of these has to be 1. If it's 2, 3, that is more than my 1 degree of freedom. So that's not the 1. This has to be a 1. Again, one of these two cells has to be a 1, and it's this one. Right. We have, I'm going to say a break-in, but, not exactly. I may regret, I will end up drawing the path at the end, just on the off chance that these are different. But anyway, let's keep going. Do we have any others that are fairly large? I suspect the answer to that is yes. So we've got a 1, 2, 3 triple in column 3. D is already at a minimum of 4. This is at a minimum of 2. This is at a minimum of 2. You can see I'm already at 8. So D is 8 or 9. Oh, I should have mentioned, I definitely remember reading it in advance. The digits in all, blah, blah, blah. No two diamonds have the same digit. Pardon me, I really should have mentioned that when I was walking through the rules. So one of these is definitely 8. One of these is definitely 9. Now, there is a degree of freedom with the D. So technically that could be 4, 5. Technically this could be 2 or 3. But I do end up with a 2, 3 pair. And I think that will end up using my degree of freedom. Yeah. Right, remember, they are different digits. One is 8, one is 9. Whichever one of these is the 3, it's used the degree of freedom for this particular cell, for this particular sum. So if I put this as a 3, and then add up all the remaining ones, assuming they're minimal, so 3, actually this being 1, 2, 3, that's already 6, 7, 8, 9, I think. I don't even understand. That's definitely 1, that's definitely 1. 1, 2, 3, because they're in the same column. That's 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this is forced. So the F has to be 9, the D has to be 8, and therefore D has to be 4 with a double 2, and therefore this is my 3. This is not 3 or 1, that's a 2, that's a 1. And we definitely have more than a break-in at this point. Fantastic. 1 is in one of these two cells. Just a bit of Sudoku, let's not forget about that like I normally do. This is, I'm not going to pencil mark every single one of these, 5, 7, 9. Let's just keep thinking about these diamonds. So, once we've basically placed these digits, we have essentially completed our theft. And then we just need to try and draw a path. If it takes us longer to complete the rest of the puzzle than 45 minutes, so be it. But let's see if we can steal these first. So the B has this cell, this cell. This is not 1 or 2. It's not 4. Could be 3. This sadly could be 1. And it could be a lot of other digits. So 1, 2, 3. This is not 4. This is at least 5. But it can go all the way up to 7 because I've already used 8 and 9. So I have 2 degrees of freedom. So this 1 could be married up with a 6 in here. Admittedly, so can it be a 5? Just can't be a 4. And this 3, 5, 6 could be married up with all the way up to 4, I'm going to say. But no bigger than 4, given this is at least 3. With a 4, that's a maximum of 7. This is correct. That's fully pencil marked now. Let's have a think. We've got C next. These two cells are C. This is not 1 or 2. This is at least 3. This is not 1 or 2. This is at least 3. This is at least 6. But again, it could be 7. So there's a degree of freedom in here with 3, 4. And then the E really has almost no real restriction. I can get, actually G is even more interesting. So given 1, 2, 3 is the minimum, that gets me to 6. This is 6 or 7, and I end up with a 6, 7 pair, don't I? And this is essentially 1, 2, 3. There has to be a 1 to remain at a sum of 6 or 7. That's the 1. And these are either 2, 3 or 2, 4. There's a definite 2 amongst them to get to 6, 7. This 6, 7 pair means the B is now definitely 5. And the only way I can get there, because these two cells, they don't have to be different, but obviously because 5 is an odd sum, we're not talking about the same digit twice. So I can't do 1, 4 because this cell is neither. It has to be 2, 3. That can't be a 2, so that's definitely a 3, that's definitely a 2. And we've got our B. Now, E here is not, actually this is no longer a 5, is not 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Actually, an A, I've totally forgotten about A. Let's talk about A, actually. It's essentially just one cell. So is the E for that matter. Now, this one cannot be 2. Sorry, it cannot be 1, excuse me. But it could be 3 or 4, can't it? And this essentially is just repeating the digit. This cell is not 1 or 2, so it is just 3, 4 pair. It is not a 3, because it's already placed, so that is a 4, that is a 4. These are not 4s, this is a 2, 3 pair. What are we doing about C? So either double 3 or 3, 4 to get 6 or 7, and this is, yeah, this is not 2. We said there has to be a 2, that's the 2. That's a 3, 4 pair now in the column, so that can't be a 3, that is a 2, that is a 2. And I don't think it necessarily resolves this, does it? Something kind of is happening here. So if I make this a 3, obviously that becomes 6, that becomes 4, this becomes 3. If I make this a 4, this will become 7, and the C has to be 3, so those will be double 3. So this is always 3. And then the 3, 4 pair will basically resolve these. And that's almost all the diamonds done, with C and G left outstanding. Fantastic puzzle so far. Right, the fact that this is even, and remember, to escape, I can't go over these plinths, and I'm blocked, and I need to be orthogonally connected, so the only escape route is vertical. That has to be odd. And that gives us the last piece of the puzzle. That's 3, that's 4. That means this is 7, and this is 6. Fantastic. Now that we've unlocked them all, the only thing that's left to do is to figure out the path that will get us home. So let's do a bit of Sudoku. I mean, it's Sudoku plus paths. So this is a dead end with the evens. This is odd. Let's just think about that path for a second. So essentially, we are definitely coming kind of like that, or not far off it. There's no way to get from box 1 to box 4, so we're definitely heading towards box 2. And given these even digits that we already have, essentially cornering off box 4, admittedly, I can do a bit of a grand tour, like a path that looks like some ridiculous thing like that. I mean, that is not possible because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that is possible. Yeah, so I could still be doing, like I said, a bit of a grand tour here, but I'm not going to worry about that too much just yet. Let's do a bit of Sudoku. I did say that a few times, haven't I? I mean, how are we with ones? Surely we're not far off done. And with this one here, where is the 1 in row 6. That's the only place for it, so that's a 1. That's another odd digit. That means that I have 1s in here. Not great, but progress. 2s, 2, 2. It looks like we've got 7 2s, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, and a 2 X-wing that's left. 3s, that's too many options. 3 and 3, that leaves it in here. That leaves 3s there. 3s. No, I'm not going to pursue that further. 4s. Yeah, too many options, I think, for 4s, and then like it's just going to get even less interesting at this point. Right, so we know that there is an odd digit somewhere in here, connecting that 3 next. So this is 5, 7, 9. Actually, 8 is one of 2 cells. Not a lot to go on. We also know that one of these has to be odd so that it escapes. Have I missed any other rules? I don't think I have. Yeah, like so 5 I've only got the 1, 6 I've only got the 1, 7 I've only got the 1, 8 I've only got the 1, 9 I've only got the 1. So I mean, there's always the possibility that there is some obvious Sudoku that I am missing. I'm not, to be fair, brilliant at classic Sudoku. I really looked at 4s. I feel like I have. That's basically 4s in all the remaining cells as options. Not great. Maybe we need to think different. Right. I've got 2 odd digits, 3, 4 odd digits. That is clearly blocked. This is my escape route. That has to be connected. This is 7 or 9. That's a guarantee. That the remaining cells are all even. They are 4, 6, 8 in some order. That is not 4. Therefore, this is the only way, because I can't go through the diamond case, so this has to be odd. And therefore, that is not a 2. That is a 2. That's not a 2. That is a 2. And that is even. Now, this odd digit, given I've got 1, 3, 7, and 9 in here, that is definitely a 5. And I can't carry on, because the rest of this is now all even. So the only safe path is actually between these 2 diamonds, with this being odd, and then again, this being odd. This is not 1, 5, or 7. This is 3 or 9. And then through here, I need to basically escape either to the right, which doesn't look possible anymore. So how do I connect these 2, which is essentially kind of the question on how I can escape? Now, there was a possibility earlier of essentially I would go around that way, which is now no longer possible because box 6 would end up with 6 odds. So I kind of have to do the grand tour of something as follows to be able to get back. Admittedly, there's another path where I kind of skip this cell, and that would also still work. And I think that is in no. I end up with too many odds in row 3. I still need 2 even digits in here. So if I try and escape through box 6, the short answer is I will end up with either too many odd digits in here or too many odd digits in there. Right? Which feels like this is now going to start to look very fixed, in the sense that these have to be odd to get me through box 4. Then this has to be odd. I don't know which one connects. I also don't know which one connects. I know that there will be one between these two. There'll be one between these two. That will use my 5. This will be even. This has to escape that way. And then it will have to somehow connect that way. Somehow. Now, it doesn't stop me from connecting via box 6. I just can't go from box 6 to kind of my path has to take me down that route. Fantastic so far. Now, have I colored anything that allows me to remove some of the options? The short answer is no. I've got 5 in the column, haven't I? So that's even, which means that's odd, so that I can remain connected orthogonally. Then one of these is even, one of these is odd. Already got 4 odds in row 9. So I'm definitely not connecting all the way through. I'm going to have to go up, probably via that 1, and connect to one of these 2 cells. These have to be connecting. The only way that they would be is through here. These are now 6 and 8, so this is not a 1. This is my 1. This is a 6-8 pair. And these are blue, of course. That 1 removes the 1 options in here. That is kind of a full column. That's 5 odds in the column, isn't it? So that can't be even, sorry, odd anymore. That's not a 1. That is a 1. That's not a 1. That is a 1. And all of these have to be even. This is supposedly 6 or 8, so I've broken the puzzle. Not entirely sure how, but I have broken the puzzle. Seriously? I have no clue. The D was forced to get to 8. So that was 2. Because this was 5 and this was 1, because it was forced with the F with the 1, 2, 3 to get to 6, and then 1, 2, 3. So these were forced ones. This being odd had to happen. This being even meant I have to escape that way. So this was the only way for me to get there, on the assumption that B was 5. But then I ended up with this 6-7 pair. So I'm not sure how I could have done it differently. Now, is there any way that this could have been a 4? 4 could have been a double 2 or a 1-3. And the 2 B's that we had, whatever they are, that's 1 and 2. I mean, it couldn't have been 2 or 1. Why couldn't it have been 1? Because of this one. So this was already at 3. That couldn't have been 1 because of this. Hang on. So 3 and 1. I'm not sure why that didn't work. To place a 4 in here. So the E couldn't have been a 4 anymore. But it's a single digit anyway. And couldn't have been a 3. Couldn't have been a 2. I'm not entirely sure. We're not doing too well on time, but I think I have to rewind this a bit and try and determine why I was so sure this is a 5. Otherwise, I end up with this contradiction where this is 6 or 8, and it can't be. Sorry about that. That is rewinding quite a bit. Not a fan. Absolutely not a fan. I'm just going to kind of revisit the logic that got me here. Right, it couldn't have been 4 because I already had a 4 pointing at it. So this was a minimum of 5. Now the C couldn't have been 5 because this is a minimum of 3. This is a minimum of 3 with a 2. And the G, because it's 3 cells, couldn't have been a 5 either. So this was forced to be 5 because these were at least 6, 7, and they couldn't be 8, 9. So that is true. Now this was 5. Sorry, let's not rush the rest, just to make sure I haven't made a mistake. Then I said this couldn't be 1, 4. And based on the remaining digits, this had to be 3, 2. This removed the 5 option. Now this is 2, 3, or 4. E is, excuse me, I'm repeating it. And then E is 3 or 4. Why is it not a 2? Because obviously the 2 is looking in here and therefore it couldn't have been, right? Then I somehow made a conclusion that it is 4. How did I make that conclusion? Because there's a 3 next to it. And there's a 2 here. So yes, it was 4. Removes the 4 option from the A, leaving a 2 or 3. Yep, still makes sense. Then I removed the 2 option in here because of this 2 from the F. And obviously to get to 6 or 7, you need to have a 2. It's a 3 or 4 with a 2. So that 2 is forced. 3, 4 pair, forcing a 2 in A. This is all correct. Then because this is even, and this has to escape, and I can't step on it without setting the alarm, that forced this to be a 3, and that to be a 4, and that determines that this is 3, this is 7, this is 6. And I did a bit of coloring. Right. I'm going to pick it up again from here with the 3 and the 4. I don't know why I didn't type it this time around, but I'm just going to pick it up again from here just to make sure that my deductions are correct. But like this is, up to this point, this is solid. So let me just reread this. Escape from the diamond vault by finding a path from the ventilation shaft to the door. Your path may only move orthogonally and may not visit any cell more than once. You may not pass through any colored display plinths, and stepping on any floor tiles with an even digit will trigger the alarm, so don't do that. So I've got 4 odd digits. I need to escape box 1, or I need to be able to get into box 1. I can't travel through the 2s, so this has to be odd. This is just not optional. And therefore I have to do again because like I can't do it diagonally. So this has to be odd again. And that just tells me this is 7 or 9 and this has to be 5. But all of these now are 5 odds. So this is 4 evens. Like none of that has changed. And therefore this is all even with 4, 6 or 8. This is 6 or 8. This is 6 or 8. Just because I've already placed a 2 and 4. This is a 2, 4 pair. That's the 2, that's the 4. Now, could I go round that way? I think the answer to that is yes. Because I've already placed all the even digits. All of the rest of this is odd. That's also true. I don't know how I missed that first time around. So nothing stopped. I didn't have to go through these diamond cases. I could have just turned around and come this way. And then straight to the vent. I mean, that would be so much easier than what I was doing previously. These are odd. I need 4 evens, so these are evens. They are 6 and 8. That's the 6. That's the 8. I don't know what I did differently this time, but I'll take it. 1, 3, 9. Therefore, this is 5, 7. And therefore, this is 3, 9. Okay. Now, admittedly, one of these is going to be odd at least. In here, I've got another 8 somewhere, and another even digit somewhere in here, another 6, 8. So realistically, there is no way for me to get that route to the top paths. So my deductions earlier around needing to take kind of the grand tour of this floor is still correct, because I've only got three even digits. There will be another one in here which will break my path. I can't jump over it. So I am still committed to, like I said, that grand tour. And therefore my deductions earlier about these 3 being odd, and it has to be these 3 because I'm not traveling through the diamond case, so this has to be odd. And then I'm trying to get to this spot, and I only can afford 2 more odd digits, so I have to take the shortest path. And then I can't travel diagonally. This has to be odd. This has to be odd. One of these is odd. But I've already got 5 odds, so these 2 have to be even. Therefore, this is odd. And then again, there will be one of them connecting. How many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that doesn't look right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's an odd and an even in here somewhere, but these 2 are even. And therefore I've got 4 evens, and this is another 6, 8. This is another 6, 8. This has to be odd. That's my 5 odds in box 7. So this has to be even. Doesn't mean that this is my escape path. This could still be my escape path. Now, what's going on here? Like, I think I have to connect this way, like I said earlier, because the evens are essentially blocking or triggering the alarm. So all of these 3 have to be odd to allow me to connect to this cell. There's no option about this one. There's no option about that one. Otherwise, I'll be jumping diagonally. And no option again. Otherwise, I'll be jumping diagonally. And then one of these is odd. And I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got options. I have one more even this way. This 6 is not here, so this is odd. So there's a 6 in here with an odd digit of some sort. That's fine. And then we've got another even this way. We've got another even that way. Surely this is odd because... why is that? So I could have one of the evens here and then a 4th even there. So short answer is no, I'm wrong. Okay, where do we go from here? Have I got any obvious placements? So I've got 1, 3, 5. This can only be 7. This can only be 9. These are a 5, 7 pair. I've got 3, 7, and 9 in here. This has to be a 1, 5 pair, and that 1 tells me the order. So that's the 5, that's the 1, that's the 7, that's the 5, that's the 9, that's the 7. This is 3 or 9. That's not what I wanted to do. Hang on. Let's try that again. 3 or 9 with orange. $29. Am I going to be trapped inside this museum? Like I said, if we can find the path, I'm going to count that as a win, even if it takes us a bit longer to complete the grid. But it doesn't look like it's going to be that easy, unfortunately. Who knew crime was difficult? Am I going to have to color some of these 6, 8s? I don't really want to, but I feel like I'm going to have to soon. Because there is no shortage of colors on the grid. So this is purple. We'll call this green. We'll call this green. This is another 4, 6, or 8. This is not helpful. I mean, they're all 4, 6, 8s, except not this cell. That's not 6. There's another green one in here somewhere. There's a 6 between these two cells, but I'm not quite appreciating what to do about that. So this is actually very limited. This is like 8 or 9, isn't it? Because I've basically got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. I may want to do some more vanilla Sudoku to sort of figure out what's going on. Like there's definitely a 1 in here. That gives me a 1 there. That's the 1s. That's not the 2. That's the 2. Which of course forces this to be odd. Forces this to be odd so that I can actually continue my escape. One of these is 6. This is not a 1. This is 3, 7, 9. Take it. 1, 2, 3. And the thing is, I need to use at least one more odd to escape. Probably 2. Because you see, I can't kind of go all the way around as such. That's too many odds. So I have to escape kind of that way, which will take at least 2 more. Essentially one of these plus one of these. This has to be even because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and therefore this is my 6. This is odd. This is my 6. This is odd. This is 1, 2, 3. There's an 8 in here somewhere. And then there's a 4 in here somewhere. The 4s are lining up in rows 8 and 9. So this is the only place that's left for a 4 in box 9. Which means my escape path has to basically connect to this 1. So this has to be odd. And I've only got 3 evens right now, and I've got 5 odds. So this has to be even, and it is the other 6, 8, the green one. And therefore this has to be odd so that I can connect. And it has to be a 9, which gives me a 3 at the top. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is another 5, 7. This now has to be even. How did I end up with this being even? Excuse me. 1, 2, 3. When did I color that? Must have been when I was trying to color this. I ended up coloring 2 cells. That is wrong. So this is another 6, 8. That's the, and it's not 6. That's the purple one. So purple has to be 8. Green has to be 6. These are not 6s. This is not a 6. This is not a 6. This is the only place for a 6. This has to be odd now. One, 2, 3, 4. So one of these is odd with an 8. The 8s will end up lining up in rows 8 and 9. So that can't be an 8. That is an 8. This has to be odd. And for it to connect, this has to be odd. And therefore this is my 4, my 8, my 4, my 8, not a 4. And I think that is everything colored. And I'm going to say that is all the even digits placed. And I'm going to declare that a victory because I know my path. Quite a convoluted one, but if you're going to steal that many diamonds, it's not going to be an easy path. 5, 7 pair in some order. 3, 9 pair. And then again, another 5, 7, except we've got the 7. So that's 5, that's 7. And 3, 9, and 5. This is not 3 or 9, that's the 5. That's 3 or 9. That's a 3, 9 pair, therefore this is a 1, 5. No, 1, 7, excuse me. 1, 7. That's not my 1, that is my 1. Don't know, I'm going to resolve these 3 9s. Probably down this route, okay. So 3s are none of these. That's the 3, that's the 9. That's the 9 here. And therefore 9 gives me 3, 3, 3, and then 9s. On the 5, 7 front, this is the 5. Therefore this is 7. This is 9. I think we've got it. 7, 5, 5, 7. I forgot about these two, 6. And if I've not made any mistakes, that's a 6 for the finish. That is a phenomenal puzzle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 diamonds stolen. Yeah. Marty, you have absolutely excelled in this particular puzzle. Thank you so much for creating it and sharing it with us all. And I hope you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. This is, yeah, like an absolute treat for all of us to enjoy. Now, of course, we are good people. We are essentially going to highlight all the weaknesses to the museum, like don't leave the keys on the floor, and give them all back. See you back soon. Bye-bye for now.